All right. I am here with Blake Hutchison, the CEO of Flippa, of course. And I'm really excited to kind of unpack what's coming, where Flippa is. And before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the last, call it year for Flippa. What's been exciting and, leading up to this announcement.
Look, I think good to see you again, Steve. I think the big thing for us is that M&A is coming back, and it's gone through a slightly tough period. Most people who listen to the podcast will be aware of that, no doubt following the industry. The good news is that whilst global M&A volumes have declined 17% year on year and probably worse again prior year, Flippa's M&A volumes are up 36%. So we're actually delivering counter-cyclical growth results, which is great. And that's really a function of being able to win really good quality entrepreneurs to our platform and help them with getting the exits done that they hope to get done. And that's really a function of having a really, really prolific matching engine and then this great M&A infrastructure under the hood. So we've continued to work away at that process. And what I mean by process is, we need to attract really great entrepreneurs because that's what buyers want. And so we've had to work really, really hard on defining the types of entrepreneur we want to bring to the platform and then put the mechanisms around that. So we've worked really hard on that, and that's played out really well. I think it's been interesting to talk to some buyers of late. Clearly assets within the SaaS ecosystem have been most popular for some time now, and for obvious reasons. But there is a changing of the guard to some extent. I'm meeting a large number of historically SaaS entrepreneurs or historically SaaS buyers who are changing the way they think about the asset types they might like to go after. And that's because they essentially think, and their thesis is that SaaS is likely to get disrupted, and building complex SaaS applications is less likely to be the way of the future. And so they're moving to more tangible product-based businesses like e-com. And so e-com went through a hellish time after September 22, high inflationary climate, high interest rate climate, tough for e-com, tariff pressure, geopolitical challenges. But all of a sudden, it feels like e-commerce has come roaring back. So it's just amazing to watch the ebbs and flows of this micro M&A industry that you and I spend a lot of time within.
Yeah. And I think in the era of AI, unique data sets are really like the future of how we're going to predict things. And I think that you guys have such a unique data set on the platform. So what are you guys rolling out? Let's talk about Lauren AI.
Yeah, so Lauren AI is smart deal sourcing and outreach. And really the origin story here is pretty simple. I was talking with our head of product, and I was sort of, I guess, talking about the number of buyers that register in any given period of time and the number of buyers that ultimately and successfully find what they're looking for. And the numbers around that, Steve, are pretty large. So we sign up, we register just over 220,000 buyer mandates each year. And so these are net new buyers come to the platform, and they have a single goal, right? They're looking to buy something. Now, out of that 220,000, just on 1% of that cohort in any given year find what they're looking for. In other words, 99% of buyers miss out. So if you take a good asset that sells on Flippa, we've got this deal room construct. And so within the deal room, there's all these buyers who have inquired. They've signed an NDA. They've expressed interest. And so obviously there's only one buyer for any given asset. In any given deal room, there's 132 unique buyers who are interested. And so that means 131 miss out. And so I was talking to our head of product and I said, unbelievable the amount of liquidity we have on the Flippa platform. We need to do a better job of capitalizing on what buyers are looking for and solving for their real challenge, which is find me a deal. And find me a deal that specifically matches my interests and my mandate. So Lauren AI is that. And what Lauren AI does is, one, helps you set a mandate. That's relatively trivial, but as you would expect, it's a natural language chatbot equivalent to GPT, Claude, and Perplexity, albeit with guardrails around the M&A sector. And that will enable you as Steve McGarry to set a hyper-precise mandate. And that mandate is very much about what you're looking for. And that's the first step in buying something. You have to establish what you're looking for, and Lauren will have a chat with you and establish what you're looking for and help you set something very specific. Now, the critical piece is what comes next. We've built a proprietary LLM, and Flippa's benefited by two really strong data sets. We've got all of the assets that have historically listed and sold and derived a valuation with the platform. And we've got all of the buyers who have bought and or not bought, set mandates, and we've got their intent signals. We've obviously got all of the conversation data between buyers and sellers, and that's very prolific. And so the proprietary LLM basically is a lookalike index. What it does is look at what buyers are looking for. And in short, it will map other similar businesses, profile them against all of the data sets we can get our hands on, and essentially then position them much like Zoom Info, but Zoom Info for M&A, where this new search result page is a precisely matched pipeline of opportunities for any given buyer. We go one step further than that. Most database businesses will serve you up a list. What Flippa knows is what prospective sellers, i.e. entrepreneurs, want to hear, and what prospective buyers should be saying to these sellers and or entrepreneurs. And so we've built an outreach engine around that. And so we've essentially evolved the Flippa M&A marketplace into a CRM for deal sourcing. And that's really exciting because it's exactly what buyers have asked for Flippa for a long time. I've come to your platform to buy something. You don't have what I want. And now we've been able to connect the dots between the open marketplace and the off market. And so Flippa will always have the world's largest selection in the open marketplace. But now we're enabling these buyers to go out to prospects who most likely don't know about Flippa, most likely haven't considered an exit. But you and I both know, approach an entrepreneur about the opportunity to exit and they'll often listen.
Amazing. Yeah, Blake was giving me a demo right before this, and it was pretty mind-blowing because the idea that off-market is being brought on here, I think for everybody listening, it kind of cracks open this whole industry to really do that bridge there, because there's the people, of course, active on Flippa, and then there are the people that are off market, not necessarily looking to sell, and this bridges that gap. And I've never seen anything really do that before. I've seen cold outreach, and I've seen that happen, but it's very much an unguided route to having a conversation, whereas this is a clear path to having a conversation with somebody that's interested in buying a business from the sell side, and then the buy side. It's like a hyper smart outreach program, which is super cool.
Yeah, and so, a lot of buyers are out there aimlessly wandering around the ecosystem, tapping entrepreneurs on their shoulder and hoping for the best. The reality is you need to do that in a smart way. You need to do that in a systematized way But those systems don't really exist for the 99%. Institutional M&A has professionals, which you'll pay a fortune for, who will go and do this work for you. But Lauren AI is basically built specifically for digital asset buyers.
So we have it pulled up. I'd love to just walk through it real quick. Let's walk through an example. I think that would be really fun for everybody on YouTube that's tuning in. And we'll link to this below wherever you guys are listening. But I'd love to walk through an example.
Yeah, so like with any acquisition effort, you want to start with what you're looking for. And so let's just do that. I'm talking to a natural language bot here, similar experience to what you'll have with GPT, Claude, or Perplexity. And I'm going to look for an e-commerce business, and I'd like that to be generating between 50,000 and 100K revenue, just as an example. Now, what Lauren's going to do is basically acknowledge that that's an okay mandate, but a bit more detail would be helpful. And so Lauren's asked me here, the country or region where I'd like that business in an ideal world to be located in. So I'm just going to say, for the sake of this, US or Australia. Okay. Again, Lauren will say, thanks very much for that. She'll now store that in your profile. And so she is, as we speak, basically creating a profile on Flippa for you and building that mandate behind the scenes. She wants to now know what my budget range is for the acquisition. So I will mention to Lauren that I'm happy to spend between, let's call it 100K up to 250K. And so Lauren's now acknowledged that a business within the e-commerce space for 50 to 100K in turnover, based in the US or Australia with a budget range of 100K to 250K, is interesting enough. And she says, is there anything else you would like to provide me as part of setting your mandate? And of course, in this particular case, I'm going to say I like the fitness niche. Don't mind health and wellness either. Okay. And so you can provide Lauren with any mandate you like. And what Lauren will now be doing is essentially preparing the proprietary LLM to spider and bring back a hyper-relevant subset of opportunities. And so what Lauren has now done is repeated my mandate back to me. I can edit that at any given time. And Lauren's doing some thinking here, and she's essentially now preparing a short list of opportunities for me. Bit of thinking time. Usually it doesn't take as long as this actually, Steve, so hopefully all is going okay. But you can see here that Lauren has found a couple of assets. The assets that Lauren has found, basically the first one here is a 3-year-old Amazon FBA company. It's comprised of 3 brands, a fitness equipment, with a patented fitness specialty product, and a small kitchen appliance company, a couple of others, NutriBump, and then Super Exercise Band USA, which sells exercise bands. So there's 3 opportunities there. I'm just going to ask Lauren to show me all matches, because that's really where the fun of this begins. And now what I've got is a new search engine. And this engine here is basically a list of all of the assets that match my mandate. Now, at any given time, I can create a new mandate. I can also edit an existing mandate. Now, of course, Lauren will consistently find new assets for old mandates as well. So we will notify buyers when new assets match those mandates are populated. But here's where the kicker is, Steve. This isn't just an index of results. For any given match, I can have a look at some more info. And of course, we've got an indicative valuation. And the indicative valuation is based on, again, Flippa's proprietary data set. So we see more sales, more listings, more valuations than any other company on earth. And as a result of that, we can infer what the valuation is for this particular company, having looked at relevant comps. I can see a bit more information about it, and this will continue to populate as Lauren learns a bit more about the asset. Now, here's what I can now do. I can add this to my pipeline. As I'm adding assets to the pipeline, I'm going to see there's a few bugs still here before we go to launch. You can see that what's essentially happening is I've got a prospecting pipeline being amassed on the bottom part of the screen here. So it says 3 prospects are now in your pipeline. Let's send a message and spark a conversation. So this is the outreach part of Lauren. Now for $5.97, which is 3 times $1.99, so $1.99 per outreach, I can now take my mandate, finish building my profile, add my bio, and then ultimately write a direct pitch to these businesses. Delighted to meet you. I am a buyer and I am currently looking to acquire an e-com business in the fitness niche. Would you be willing to have an introductory conversation? Okay? Now, we know, having seen hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of exchanges between buyers and sellers within the Flippa platform, exactly the type of message that resonates with an entrepreneur. And so what we're going to do is take the bones of your message and reconfigure that and rewrite that in a way that we best think optimizes for a return response. And so Flippa's essentially built a CRM under the hood. Now, once you release these messages into the wild, those prospects will receive a little bit about you, obviously a little bit about the mandate, a little bit about Flippa, and we will bring them back into the Flippa deal room, circumventing the marketplace experience that Flippa has been known for 15 years, and allow a buyer and seller, or a buyer and prospective seller, to have an active conversation about getting a deal done right within the safe constraints or confines of the Flippa deal experience, where we have the reps and warranties insurance product, where we have the due diligence product, where we have the data integrations, where you can invite bookkeepers and accountants, where we have the payment rails to get deals done. So it's an end-to-end deal sourcing engine versus an end-to-end marketplace. The two of those together satisfies more of the customers around the world that we've been trying to serve for so long. Entrepreneurs, buyers who are just trying to get deals done.
Amazing. Yeah. For everybody that is tuning in via audio and not on video, the idea that there are whole armies of people doing outreach, like literally at every fund, every firm that's looking to do just any form of M&A, there are dozens of people that work there that are doing active outreach on a daily basis. So not only is this going to open that up, but I can't quite like express that the idea of having a CRM for those individuals that brings them into the safety that is the deal room is crucial, because I've heard horror stories time and time again of not going to a secure place, i.e. a platform to have conversations where everything's documented, and the amount of resources that are in that deal room is like protection to the nth degree. So it really is an optimal situation. I'm curious with this, you mentioned multiple times you're circumventing the traditional marketplace P2P kind of interaction. Do you think this is where Flippa moves, like where people are using AI to just sort of not only source, but communicate and just drum up a lot of the diligence and everything? How do you see it kind of shifting?
It feels like this is, yes, an evolution, but more an extension of versus a replacement for. There will always be a large ecosystem of entrepreneurs that want to establish competitive tension and want to get a really, really good feel for fair market value and the absolute number of buyers that are interested. I think that will remain, and we will continue to scale that side of our proposition aggressively because there's so many entrepreneurs out there who want the help of a Flippa-like platform to expose their opportunity to as many possible people and drive the best possible outcome. There are others on the flip side who would prefer a one-to-one engagement and would like to do so in a private environment, but a safe and secure environment with all of the same M&A infrastructure, services and features that the Flippa platform can bring to the fore. And so I really see it as an extension to the Flippa platform. And the Flippa platform has always been there to help people buy and sell online businesses. Now, more people will be aware that there are buyers out there who are interested in them. And that simply means more exit opportunities for more entrepreneurs. And ultimately, we are here to enable a pathway to exit. And whether that is on the open public marketplace or via a one-to-one connection using Lauren, we don't mind.
Very cool. Very cool. So every year or so, you and I have connected around this time, actually, about trends. So I owe it to the listeners to talk about trends just for a minute. What are you seeing? What's the trend? You brought up e-commerce. That one, of course, has ebbed and flowed. But as you guys roll out Lauren AI actively here onto the platform, what is a trend that you can share with us that we wouldn't expect?
Well, maybe not necessarily one that you wouldn't expect, but I think what is really interesting is that the quality of assets improves as the tooling around entrepreneurs improves. And so if you buy a $10,000 asset today or a $100,000 asset today or $1 million asset today, I would argue that it's a better quality asset than the same price points have afforded you in the past. And that's because the tooling around entrepreneurs has improved. So their ability to acquire a community, their ability to monetize, their ability to scale with good quality technology surrounding them, and then your ability to take something and then mature that asset with AI and or other service layers that have historically been unavailable to entrepreneurs is really the big thing we're hearing from buyers right now. And so that's an important thing to take into consideration. It's not like $10,000 and $100,000 assets will go away because businesses are easy to create with AI. The reality is you've still got to create something which is worth X or Y. And so for me, the quality shifts up, and that's great. So that might be, I guess, tidbit number one. Tidbit number two would relate to AI built and AI native assets. We are starting to see huge numbers of buyers seek out AI native and or AI enabled businesses, obviously more than ever before. And again, that won't surprise anyone, but the Flippa search data that we see and that you and I talk about a lot has stayed true for some time. You've had D2C, Shopify and e-commerce businesses, and it's ebbed and flowed from not attractive to very attractive. You've had things like AdSense and online publishing ebb and flow, and of course that's going through a really tricky time as people try to figure out what the impact of AI is on content generally, and on your ability to win customers and generate revenue. And the longevity of that is questionable based on some of the moves that Google's making. So that's ebbed and flowed. We've seen YouTube channels move fast up into the top 3 assets that people are seeking out on Flippa, and that's still the case. Amazon KDP, leveraging the Amazon ecosystem and marketplace, very attractive right now. But AI as a general narrative has extended into this small business M&A ecosystem at the same speed as which it's extended into the mass consciousness. And so it's now the number two most searched for asset type on Flippa, i.e.
Wow.
AI native and or AI enabled assets.
Cool. Very cool. That's fast within, because what is it, 24 months or 2 years or so has been just absolute breakneck speed with, as we all know, it's everywhere. But that's cool that the trends have shifted. Like, I mean, it was kind of traditional trends over the last 4 or 5 years that you and I have been talking about it every year, where you had your e-commerce and your SaaS and everything like that. But it's almost like a trident just going right through it with AI, which is exciting to see.
I mean, the thing that is not a new trend, but I think it's important to call out is just the cross-border nature of deal making.
Hmm.
And so we used to, we had a statistic that I must admit, we sort of rolled off the tongue for quite a long time, and things shifted beneath the surface even faster than we would have expected. So historically, it was 67% of deals were cross-border. We're now up to 83% of deals are cross-border. And so that's really interesting. What that shows you is that, one, there's great distribution of quality entrepreneurship. So there's people from all over the world building very good quality businesses. And it shows you that more than ever before, they're global in their mindset. So they're thinking about, they might build out of Bulgaria, but they'll think about a US customer, knowing full well that yes, US customers will pay a premium. You get more ad revenue per page view. Their AOVs tend to be higher. Their ability to absorb pricing changes is greater, just as a function of the buying power of an American consumer. So global entrepreneurs have become very, very aware and conscious of that opportunity. As a result of that, we've seen American buyers consistently buy assets from the rest of the world. And as I said, 83% of our sales, our transactions, are now cross-border.
Wow. That's crazy. And you'd mentioned that tools surrounding entrepreneurs. I love that piece. That as the tools get better around entrepreneurs, the more efficient the businesses get, and the more profitable they get, and the more sellable and transferable they get. So that's really interesting. 83%. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, cool. I want to keep this nice and tight here, and thank you for the demo and walking us through Lauren AI. Super excited to test this out and to play with it over the next few months. When does it roll out, and where can we send people?
Yeah, so by the time this goes live, it'll be live. Head to the Flippa homepage, head to Flippa search, head to any deal within Flippa, and you'll see Lauren AI prominently promoted there. Free to access once you outreach, $1.99 per outreach. So it should be accessible to all, and hope everyone gets a real kick out of it, finds real value from it. We think it's going to be exciting, and yeah, check out flippa.com.
Right on. As always, thank you so much for coming on, Blake. And this is an exciting announcement.
Thanks, Steve.